One, the issue of Christian nation. And two, here is this driver. I don't know who it represents, but it must represent someone out there who has been trying to drive, but he's always being stopped 4 times until the fifth time. Then he was frustrated and gave up. I had to take that minibus to town. So, after a careful thought, I knew that even if I didn't love politics, it was time to step into the political arena. And that's how I had to think about the name of the political party, because that's what comes into play. What name am I going to give this party? I mean, the words are prophetic: united, prosperous, and peaceful Zambia. I was so encouraged, when I saw this name. It was a united, prosperous. They should have just finished and peaceful Zambia. It was a UPPZ. So people are buying into that idea. Now, you ask me, but why did you pick on that? Now, think about United. 2016 elections, they brought into Zambian political life something very strange and very ugly. This country has been united, but we were divided. And you can see the split. Look at the votes. You can see that there is a problem here. There is regional voting. There is tribal voting. But the issue is Zambians are not tribalists. That is why there are intermarriages. We marry from any place. We have not had a problem. A Bemba could marry a Lozi and there has been no problem. A Chewa could marry a Tonga, there has been no problem. But current politics being unfair on citizens, they brought out something that has destabilized us. We are known now to be a little bit careful, but I knew that someone needs to do something. Somebody needs to unite the country, to bring the country together. We need to remove this blanket of tribal politics, this blanket of regional politics. We need to end that, because Zambia is a united country. So, and 2016, we saw how people were just, up to now, people are still recovering. We have ministers. I'm talking about some serving and some who are not serving. Some of the words they spoke out there. So you leave this place, you go to Southern Province, you go and say hurtful words. I felt, no, this is not the work of a politician. A politician must understand that number is important. You need to embrace everybody. And I said, I want to do that. That's the issue of united. Think about prosperous. Zambia is a prosperous country. And I believe what you confess comes into play. Words are very powerful. That is why I don't buy the notion that Zambia is a poor country. It's not poor. Permit me to use, that's the easiest example I can give you. In Asia, there are two countries of Asians. Those two countries, those people, they look for countries where there is wealth. And I'm not ashamed to name them. It's India and China. Find an Indian and you find a Chinese, just know there is money there. If you can't see it, it's somewhere. You need to find out. A Chinese doesn't go to a country where there's no money. China will never borrow you money when they know that there is nothing you can give the back in return. Chinese will never do that. That's why nobody can convince me. You money, but the Chinese will look at your country. They will know that let's give them the money because they have wealth there. They've got mineral wealth. They've got land. They've got all this. That's why I have refused the notion. Zambia is not a poor country. It's a rich country. The problem is that we don't have people that can manage our wealth. And that's the cry. And I felt, look, I need to show the Zambians. Zambia is prosperous. So we are saying it's a united, a prosperous Zambia. Zambians need to live in the prosperity that God has given us. God has given us wealth. Apart from that, united, prosperous, and peaceful Zambia. When you think about the word peaceful, that word peaceful speaks volumes. You are talking about a country where there is tolerance, you can forbear, you can forgive each other, you can wrong each other, but you know how Zambians are. Even if something is hot, eventually they just forget. We've got that attribute. I would say it's a God-given attribute. No matter what offenses may be there, people still continue. But the politics of today and the politicians we have today in the ruling party and in the opposition, they have come to destabilize our peace. Some of them are using cadres as militias. They give them instructions who must be allowed at this station, who must not be allowed at this station. They are able to export cadres into election areas for the purpose of violence and intimidation. And I said, no. Zambia is peaceful, and I want to be a champion of that peace. Arm the cadres. I want to have those young men that we have abused. Instead of sending them to school, we are planting them in markets, planting them in bus stations so that they don't ever improve academically. I said, no, I want to fish them out. I want to make them followers. Because if you look at the trend today, we normally say imiti kula empanga, but currently most of the political parties, they don't have a future. This is why they are using all people they have. Go to parliament. It's full of ancestors. And what I mean by ancestors, these are great-grandparents. They are supposed to be playing with their great-grandchildren at home. But because the political parties we have today, they don't value the young generation. They keep them in markets so that they don't develop leadership skills. Are you aware that some of these parties, if we allow them, they will produce dictators? Think about it. They've given them names like commander. Do you know what that means? Go to Intercity. The person leading the group at Intercity, they are calling him commander. Go to this place, is commander. Are you aware that some political parties are now breeding tomorrow's dictators? And God forbid. That's why I'm saying we need to rescue this country. If we don't do anything, these so-called commanders in bus stations, next you hear that they are now in the bush fighting to be able to get control of Zambia. They will not be contained buses. They want to control everybody. So we need to bring that to a stop. And that is about peaceful. Then you have Zambia. What is Zambia? Zambia is land. When you are at the border, think about it. When you are at Chirundu border, once you have done your passport, things, you have signed on the Zambian side, when you just walk across the Zambezi, then they'll tell you, you are in Zimbabwe now. When you look around, you won't see Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is not air. Zimbabwe is not the sunshine. Zimbabwe is the land. So Zambia is land. And I'm saying, you cannot be a complete Zambian without land. And those of you who are listening to me, if you are renting, you are half Zambian. Because a Zambian must have land. That's the evidence. That NRC you have should translate into land. If you have an NRC, you must have access to a plot in Zambia, not outside Zambia. So we are saying, as UPPZ, we want to empower citizens with land. We want Zambians to be proud Zambians. You see, because today, if we are to stand up and sing the national anthem, do you know that some of us will be singing lies? How can you say, stand and sing of Zambia, and I don't have land? Proud and free. Which pride? Because, and you are saying free, you have a minibus, you can't load from Kulima Tower, are you free? You can't load from Intercity, are you free? No, we are saying stand and sing of Zambia, proud and free. And that is what I want to introduce into the political life of this country, and how I pray that people will be able to find a place for my message, for the manifesto I have introduced. This is the first time in Zambia that you have a politician. Permit me to call myself a politician, even if I don't want to be a politician. But you have somebody involved in politics who is on TV for the whole year. It has never happened. Only CC has been able to do it. And why? It's because I have a message. And the message is that we want a united, prosperous, and peaceful Zambia.
Now, let me pick it up from Z. You've rightly outlined the acronym UPPZ, and on the Z aspect, you talked of land to say Zambia is land. Now, if I am right, in your manifesto, you're promising every Zambian land. All right, we are about 15, 16, if not 17 million Zambians now. How do you hope to achieve that objective of ensuring that every Zambian owns land if you form government as UPPZ?
Mr. Moderator, I'm sure you might be aware that Zambia currently, I'm just going to talk about arable land.
Mhm.
We have 42 million hectares of arable land.
Mhm.
That's hectares, not acres, hectares.
Hectares.
So if we have 42 million hectares, that is minus all the game parks, and I'm talking about land that we can use. If 42 million hectares is at our disposal and we are only 15 million, are you aware that every Zambian can have, at the moment, you can even have a 2 hectares? You have a 2 hectares.
Guaranteed.
If you don't know, all of you are listening to me as a Zambian, currently you have a 2 hectares farm in this country. And that's the reality. So what I'm talking about, it's not something that cannot be reached. Now think about it. Let me come back to the 2 hectares. Now a 2 hectares, if I was to create plots of 25 by 50 meters, I will get 16 plots in 2 hectares.
Mhm.
So you can see now that every Zambian has a plot and every Zambian has a land to till. But we have challenges. And these are the issues that the current government is failing to address. It's almost 2 years ago. It's in Northern Province where Honorable Dolaslia, whilst she was Minister of Agriculture, she handed over 340,000 hectares to a consortium. It's on record. I mean, this is not something, it's on record. And the day she was handing over those hectares, the Minister of Lands was not there. The Commissioner of Lands was not there. The permanent secretary from the Ministry of Lands, they were not there. Even the president, who is the chief land officer, was not there. I would have assumed that when you are handing over such land and there are no shady deals, you must have someone from the Ministry of Lands, especially the Commissioner of Lands, because he signs on the title deeds. You must have it. The Minister of Agriculture doesn't sign on the title deed. The most, including the Minister of Lands and Agriculture, they don't sign on the title deed. So those 340,000 hectares, a title deed needed to be signed. But why exclude the Commissioner of Lands? That's the challenge I'm having. I'm saying we are busy giving out land secretly and making deals to foreigners, and we are disadvantaging the citizens. Which Zambian has ever been given 100,000 hectares? Never. But how do you give? Do you know how big Hong Kong is? Hong Kong is less than 340,000 hectares. Now, think about it. Our own minister, of course, she was working at the instructions of the president. The president must tell us if he didn't send her. Because in Zambian, according to the Zambian constitution, only the president can give so much land. So are we saying that the president decided to use the Minister of Agriculture without the Minister of Lands because he knew what deals were involved in that land? So if our own president can hand over a place that is more than Hong Kong to foreigners, are you aware that that land now is a no-go area for a Zambian? Those farm blocks are not for Zambian citizens. The Minister of Agriculture by then, she was even boasting that yes, we are going to create jobs. You want to create jobs for Zambians as farm workers? No. We need to create jobs for Zambians as farmers in their own land. So what I'm saying here is that the land is there. We but we are busy giving it out to foreigners. We go out there, we are telling the investors, come, you will be able to get free land. The land is there. This is why I'm saying even today, land in Zambia must not be expensive. In fact, government must give land free of charge because they spend nothing on it. People can pay for the title deeds. You can't give people land as government pay so much. This is what we want to stop as UPPZ. Of course, I am involved in the land business. I'm also using this careless law. Now, I may also bring this to your attention. Are you aware that Zambia in the whole world has the most useless land policy? Most useless. And I'll tell you how useless it is. I'm even wondering where the minister is getting her courage to say, we are going to give title deeds. That is the most useless document you can have on earth. And I'll tell you why. Zambia's land can be bought by a prisoner in any part of the world. Any prisoner. Even if you stole money from your government, you can buy land in Zambia as a free, and you get a title deed. That's why I'm saying the current title deed is useless, and come 2021, should God give us an opportunity to rule this country, we will declare every title deed invalid because that document is useless. How do foreigners access our land? They access PACRA online. You can access countries. Prisoners have got access to internet and email. So you go on the internet, you search for PACRA, you register a company online as a prisoner in Malaysia who has stolen money and money is kept there. So you register a company. Once you register a company, you can use your certificate to get land in Zambia. What a useless policy. How can you sell land to a company? And why am I saying that? It has happened. I bought land from a Chinese 2 years ago in McKinney West. It was $1.6 million. And this land I bought from a Chinese, this Chinese doesn't live in Zambia. He has no permit to live in Zambia, but has a title deed. How can we be that careless as government that we can issue title deeds to people who don't have work permit, who don't even have even a holiday permit? That's what I'm telling you. And nobody is talking about this. That's why I'm saying, look, I want to stand for the land of Zambia. So I had to pay that Chinese. You know, he refused money in kwacha. He said, no, he wants it in dollars. And then I asked, give me your bank account. He has no bank account. Is that not money laundering? I'm going to give you 1.6 million. I had all the trouble now to change that money until it was $1.6 million. And I paid. I wanted the land. And that land I bought from him, it was on title, and we have now given it to 3,500 Zambians at a price of 10,000 kwacha. Now, what I'm saying here is that how much land is in the hands of foreigners? And government till today, they have failed to do a land audit. They failed. We needed to have a land audit. We want to know how much land is owned by Zambians and how much have you given out. So what I'm saying here is that every Zambian listening to me out there, you have land, and I want to encourage all the Zambians, especially those of you that are 15 years and above, make sure you get your NRC, make sure you vote in 2021 and vote for a party that can empower you. I will ensure that land is given to every Zambian with an NRC when I become president. This is not just a promise of more money in your pocket. It is a promise because the land is there. And we will make sure as UPPZ, those people who have been given vast hectares of land and they've just put a fence, because the title deed we have currently will be invalid, we will not even allow anyone to sell virgin land. You have to surrender it back to the government so that we can give it to the people. So every is a landlord, and my dream is to see landlords in this country.
All right, now let's talk about your party crescent or your party logo. I noticed on your party logo, we do have two cows and a head of cabbage and then a graduation hat. All right, kindly extrapolate the meaning of your party logo.
Yes, many people have asked me, but why did you put two cows? Why did you put a cabbage? Why did you put a graduation cup? Now, that is symbolic. We want to work on the diversification of our economy. Like I told you, we have 42 million hectares of land. When you go to Botswana, are you aware that that land, mostly it's a desert country? But they are surviving because of animals. They export beef to Europe. They are earning foreign exchange. But you know one funny thing? The cows in Botswana, they are eating from the food that comes from Zambia. I mean, this is what baffles me. Go on the Great East Road. Everybody is exporting those things the maize has to take to Botswana so that they can feed those cows there. So Botswana's economy is being sustained by the agricultural industry of Zambia. Doesn't that tell you a story? Look at Southern Province. Look at our brothers and sisters in Southern Province. They are all in cattle rearing. And Southern Province is actually on your way to Botswana. What has stopped government to support our brothers and sisters so that we could have been involved in the export of beef? It could have been possible. We can't leave it to one man to have a company of beef. We are talking about every citizen in this country. We want to see how to diversify the economy. Our dependence on minerals should come to an end, because God has given us land. Some countries don't have land. We have water, abundant water resources in this country. Even if in some of the compounds there are no taps. Kafue River flows 365, Zambezi River flows 365, and the water is thrown into the Indian Ocean. We should be able to do something. All I'm saying here is that as UPPZ, we want to work on the economy of this country. We want to become the true breadbasket. We are right now. But unfortunately, we are illegally the breadbasket. Look at maize. Look at the maize prices. Maize is produced. Are you aware how much maize is in Congo? A bag of maize, 50 kg, I'm told it was fetching over 200 kwacha. And here you are giving the farmers, it was 85 kwacha. You even reduce the price because this government does not respect peasant farmers. It doesn't care about them. Because when you reduce the price of maize, you are reducing the salary of somebody. There are people whose dependence is on those bags of maize. So when you reduce the price without even negotiating with them, you have become a dictator. You don't care. I mean, look at this country. Over 70% of our people are in rural Zambia. So meaning that we don't care about this. Over 70%. We care about the people in town. We want them to buy cheap mini meal at the expense of the sweat of our farmers in the rural areas. And I'm saying, no, somebody needs to care about agriculture. And I have a policy on agriculture that is going to work. That is why you see there's a cabbage there. We're talking about, look, subsistence farming. We can be able to have enough food, basically. Think about it. If I can grow cabbage, then I can grow maize. If I have beef, then the food is there. There is food on the table. Now comes the issue of the graduation cap. That is my area of concern. We have destroyed education in this country. And I am on record, and everybody is on record. This parliamentary session, these people that we have, parliamentarians that we have, they are on record. They refuse to pass a bill that was going to sponsor our students. They don't care about the future because their children can still get bursaries. Even if they have 60 points, they can still get bursaries and go and study. They don't care about the intelligent young Zambians that are in the rural areas. But the issue here is that look at education. Destroyed education, especially in the rural areas. I mean, think about it. When these schools in rural areas were built, those villages were far apart. I mean, they were close at that time. You know, there were a few villages. So when they looked at the position where the school was going to be built, they had to specifically look at the proximity to those villages. But there's population growth. And you know, when you're talking about a village, you are talking about people wanting land to farm. So you don't put them like in towns. So we've got so many villages now covering huge hectares of land and the same school. So our children are made to walk to schools, and government doesn't care. They don't care how you get to school. I was just last week. I was in western province in Mangango. There's a school there, a government school. There's a village that is 7 kilometers to the school. Of course, some are 15 kilometers, but that one I was concerned because 7 kilometers. You want a grade 1 child to walk 14 kilometers per day just to go and attend school. It doesn't make sense. But the issue here is that there is no care. All these ministers of education we have had, I don't know, maybe they dropped from the moon, so they don't understand what happens here on the universe or on earth. Go to these compounds. Go to Chawama. No secondary school has been built. Then somebody who is listening to us will say, no, Mr. President, you are wrong. We have secondary schools in Chawama. My friend, I have lived there. Those things you are calling secondary schools were primary schools that have been converted into secondary schools. Are you aware that when you do that, you become the most wicked leader for the future of your country? Primary school is very important. That is the foundation. So you cannot destabilize the foundation just because you have sold the land, you have allowed your cadres to sell every piece of land, and because there is no land, you now want to destabilize the future of the country. That shouldn't be the way. You need to ensure that quality education is given at primary school level. Just here it's about 35 kilometers from Lusaka. We have a school with 106 learners as a grade 6 class. One teacher. How do you expect one teacher to teach over 100 kids? What about concentration? How is he going to make sure that he is able to attend to the educational challenges of these children? So what we are saying here is that as UPPZ, we want to bring sanity in the area of education. Go to these places, Kamwala Kawata. A 3-bedroomed house has been converted into a primary school, grade 1 to grade 7, and parents are paying. God forbid. My child will be learning in a bedroom as a class. What thoughts will be in his mind? You say, no, this is a class. That is not a class. It is a bedroom. How can you have children in a 20 by 30? There is no space. Even, nature demands that one should be able to release pressure sometimes. But these children can't release any pressure because there's no space. If it's outside, inside, they are children. So you find children holding tight because there's no space even to breathe. So what we are saying is that this is not education. Education, there must be sports. And I'm saying, come 2021, should God have mercy on this country and give this country a government that cares, we will not allow a school that has got no grounds. And that is going to be a challenge. It will be a law. And we want to make education a law, not a privilege. Because we have made it a privilege. And that is my concern. And so we are saying education is our backbone. We want Zambia to go back to school.
Let me now start by reading some of the comments that people are sending through, and then I'll carry on reading text messages and accept calls when we come back on the other side. This one reads, now concerning the dream that led to you making a decision of joining politics, could it also be that you were thinking deeply over things about modern Zambia and the subconscious created a dream out of it? Or how sure are you it was the Lord impressing on your heart that direction? That's Andres. And then the second message he says, He is one of those leaders who makes it easy for us to pray for all in leadership because he's such a likable man. First Timothy 2:1-4. We are called to pray for all leaders, and we do so even for those who are not very likable. Yet we do it with joy because it pleases God who desires all to be saved. How do you respond to these two text messages by Andres? And then I'll be reading more when we come back on the other side.
Yeah, coming back to the dream, of course, like I've said, people dream for various reasons, and sometimes dreams do come as a result of, what we think about.
Mhm.
Now, when you are part of a country like Zambia, and of course, you see what's happening,
Mhm.
you can see that if there is something that you can do to make life better and you withhold it, even God doesn't like it. He says, whosoever has corn and withholds it, the people will curse him. So when somebody is saying, how did you interpret the dream? The issue here is that despite the issue of the dream, I mean, look at the reality. In 2 years,
Mhm.
this is the only party that is growing on its own. It has never happened in Zambia. There are places I have never gone to. People are mobilizing themselves. Why? Because they've seen that there is the human part in us, and that is lacking in leadership. I am a leader. I have a Christian foundation. I have a Christian background. And because of that, I do think of people. But I'm not saying I'm perfect. I may have my own weaknesses. So when you are trying to say, how did you interpret the dream? The very fact that UPPZ is 2 years old and has been able to participate in 7 by-elections without support from any other country. We are competing with political parties that are funded by the Chinese. Don't you think that alone shows that there is an invisible hand helping us? I've been able to reach all the parts of this country. Of course, we are still going to all of them. And what the message we are receiving, people are saying, come and help us. In the past 2 years, I have empowered over 30,000 Zambians with land that is cheap. So all we are saying here is that we've done our part. But at the end of the day, we need to understand that you cannot just base everything on the dream. Of course, whatsoever comes, I am part of the Zambian citizens, and if there is something wrong and I can do something, I cannot be quiet. But I have the support of something that I did not create. The dream was not created by me, but it was very clear. And who doesn't know about the late president? He declared this country as a Christian nation, and we know the ending was not the way we expected. And if somebody can appear to you in a dream that how I wish there can be somebody who can pick up where I started, I think that's not far from the truth. And Zambia deserves a leader that understands the role that God plays in this country. People have come to me, for instance, they've blamed me that no, Mr. Chanda, it's like you are working with PF because you don't insult the president. Why should I insult the president? I cannot do that. If you don't like the president, that is your problem. The issue here is that we have a president till 2021. If he is not doing the things which are correct, we know what to do. Your talking will not solve the problem. I mean, look at how much we've talked about these toll plazas, how much they cost, roads, how much they cost. That will not solve the problem. Talking doesn't solve the problem. You must act. And for me to get a political platform, that's the action that is needed so that you can offer checks and balances. And that is what we need.
We're catching a breather. When we come back, I'll read more text messages and we'll accept calls on 0960 My guest is President Charles Chanda of the United Prosperous and Peaceful Zambia UPPZ, and we're together right through to 11. Priya takes us to the top of the hour with the song titled Don't Give Up. All right, so far so good. Almost over, Juby. Okay, so we start with the second now. This program contains views expressed by people who value the contributions and